Virgo, quick thing before we start. If you're here for a reason. Trust that. Now let's get into what you actually need to hear. Stop right now. Put your phone down for a second. Close your eyes if you need to. Take a breath because something's happening around you that you need to pay attention to. Not in some vague, mystical way, in a very real, very present, very specific way. There are signs, signals, little moments that might seem random but aren't. And if you're not paying attention, if you're moving through your days on autopilot, if you're so focused on what's not working that you're missing what's trying to show itself, you're going to miss something important. Stay with me. Because here's what I keep picking up on. You're standing at a choice point, not the kind of choice that's obvious, not the kind where the options are clearly labeled good and bad, but the kind where both paths could work, but they lead to completely different places. And right now, in this exact moment, there are omens around you, little breadcrumbs, subtle indicators, things that keep showing up that are trying to point you in a direction, but you have to be paying attention to see them. Have you been noticing this? This feeling that something's trying to get your attention? Let me know in the comments if this is already resonating. Because here's what I'm sensing about these two doors, these two paths, these two options. One of them feels familiar, safe, like the logical next step based on where you've been. The other one feels different, maybe a little scary, maybe uncertain, maybe like a leap you're not sure you're ready to take. And you've been going back and forth between them, haven't you? Weighing the pros and cons, trying to logic your way to the right answer, trying to predict which choice leads to the outcome you want. But here's the thing. This isn't a decision you can make purely from logic. This is a decision that requires you to pay attention to something deeper, to the signs, to the omens, to the subtle ways the universe has been trying to show you which door is actually aligned with where you're meant to go. Does this feel true? Drop a comment if you're recognizing this crossroads, because let me describe what I'm seeing about door one. Door one. It's the path of continuation. It's taking what you already have and building on it. It's staying in the familiar territory, the known landscape, the space you've already mapped out. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's safety in door one. There's predictability. There's the comfort of knowing generally what to expect. But here's what I keep sensing about this path. It requires you to stay the same. It requires you to fit into a version of yourself that you might be outgrowing. It requires you to keep playing small in ways you've been quietly resisting. Not in dramatic ways, not in ways that are easy to name, but in subtle ways, in the way it limits your expansion, in the way it keeps you in patterns you've been trying to evolve beyond. And maybe that's okay. Maybe door one is still the right choice for you, but only if you're choosing it consciously. Only if you're aware of what you're saying yes to and what you're saying no to by staying on this path, not choosing it by default, not choosing it because it's easier or because you're afraid of what door two might require. Have you been feeling this tension around door one? Let me know in the comments. Now, let me tell you about door two. Door two. It's the path of transformation. It's the choice that doesn't make complete sense logically. It's the option that requires you to trust something beyond what you can see or prove. It's the leap. And I know that might sound scary. I know your logical mind might be giving you 1,000 reasons why door two is risky, uncertain, potentially foolish. But here's what I keep sensing about this path. It's aligned with who you're becoming. Not who you were, not who you've been, but who you're actually evolving into. And choosing door two, um, it's not about abandoning everything, or throwing caution to the wind. It's about honoring the growth that's been happening inside you. It's about making a choice that matches your expansion instead of your fear. It's about trusting that you've been guided this far and you can trust what's pulling you forward. Does this resonate? Comment below if door two is calling to you. Because here's what I want you to understand about these omens, these signs, these signals that have been showing up. They're not random. They're not coincidence. They're your intuition communicating with you through the external world. And if you've been paying attention, really paying attention, you already know which door the signs are pointing toward. You already know which choice creates that subtle feeling of expansion in your chest. You already know which path makes you a little nervous but also a little excited. That knowing, it's not coming from your head. It's coming from somewhere deeper. And the question isn't which door is objectively better. The question is, which door are you brave enough to choose? Have you been noticing the signs? Have you been paying attention to what keeps showing up? Let me know in the comments. Because I keep sensing you've been getting the same message multiple times. Maybe through conversations that seem random, but all point to the same theme. Maybe through things you keep seeing, numbers, symbols, phrases that repeat. Maybe through people who keep showing up in your life, saying things that echo what you've been thinking privately. These aren't accidents. These are omens. And they're trying to show you something about which direction is actually aligned. But here's the tricky part. Sometimes the omens don't point to the easy choice. Sometimes they point to the choice that requires more of you, the choice that asks you to grow, the choice that doesn't offer guaranteed outcomes but does offer genuine alignment. And that's where the real decision lives. Not in choosing what's easy, but in choosing what's true. Does this make sense? Drop a comment if this is landing, because I want to talk about what happens when you choose, when you actually make the decision, when you stop going back and forth and commit to one door or the other. What happens is clarity, not necessarily immediate clarity about whether you made the right choice, but clarity about who you are, about what you value, about what you're willing to risk for alignment. Because choosing door one consciously, that's powerful. If you choose it knowing what you're saying yes to and what you're releasing by staying on that path, that's a valid choice. That's you honoring where you are right now. That's you recognizing that maybe you need more time, more stability, more groundedness before you're ready for the expansion door two offers, and there's no shame in that. But choosing door one unconsciously, choosing it because you're afraid, because it's easier, because you're avoiding the discomfort of door two, that's going to create regret. Not immediately, but eventually. Eventually, you're going to wonder what would have happened if you'd been brave enough to choose differently. Have you been feeling this? This awareness that one choice is coming from fear and one is coming from trust? Let me know in the comments. And here's what I'm sensing about door two. If you choose it, if you actually step through that threshold, even though you can't see exactly where it leads, you're going to discover something about yourself. You're going to discover that you're capable of more than you thought, that you can handle uncertainty better than you believed, that trusting yourself leads somewhere real, not perfect, not effortless, but real, aligned, true. And that discovery, it changes everything. It changes how you see yourself. It changes what you believe is possible. It changes what you're willing to reach for in the future. Because once you prove to yourself that you can choose the aligned path over the safe path, you can't go back to making fear-based decisions the same way. You've tasted what it feels like to trust yourself fully. And that taste, it's addictive in the best way. Does this resonate with what you're feeling? Comment below and tell me which door is calling you. Because here's what I really want you to hear. There's no objectively wrong choice here. Both doors lead somewhere. Both paths have value. Both options could work. But only one of them is truly aligned with where you're being pulled. And you know which one it is. You might not want to admit it. You might be fighting it. You might be trying to convince yourself that the safer option is actually the better one. But deep down, you know which choice makes your heart beat a little faster. You know which path creates that subtle feeling of, yes, this is it, even though your mind can't explain why. You know which door the omens have been pointing toward. The question is, are you going to trust that knowing? Are you going to honor what you're sensing, even if it doesn't make perfect logical sense? Are you going to be brave enough to choose alignment over safety? Because that's what this moment is really asking of you. Not which door is better, but whether you trust yourself enough to follow where you're being led. Have you been struggling with this trust? Let me know in the comments, because I keep sensing there's a part of you that already made the decision, a part of you that knows exactly which door you're meant to walk through. But you've been second guessing it. You've been looking for more confirmation. You've been hoping for some external sign that makes the choice so obvious you don't have to take responsibility for it. But that's not how this works. The omens can point, the signs can guide, the universe can support, but you have to choose. You have to be the one who says, yes, this is the door I'm walking through. Even though I can't see exactly where it leads, even though it scares me a little, even though I don't have all the answers. That choice, that commitment, that's what activates everything. That's what transforms possibility into reality. That's what moves you from wondering into knowing. So which door is it? Door 1, the path of continuation, safety, the known. Or door 2, the path of transformation, expansion, the aligned unknown. You already know. You've known all along. The omens have been showing you, your body has been telling you, your intuition has been guiding you. Now it's just about trusting yourself enough to follow through, to make the choice, to step through the door, to see where the path actually leads instead of trying to predict it from the outside. And whatever you choose, choose it fully. Choose it consciously, choose it with awareness, choose it knowing that you're the one creating your path through the decision you make, because both doors lead somewhere, but only one leads to where you're actually meant to go. And you know which one it is. So pay attention to the omens, Trust what you're sensing, honor what's pulling you forward, and then choose not from fear, not from logic alone, not from what makes sense to everyone else, but from alignment, from truth, from the deep knowing that lives beneath all the noise. That's where your answer lives, and you're ready to trust it. I don't sell futures, I build architects. No predictions, just the raw truth for the tough ones. Stay magic, stay in the now.